Just a quick background on edible plants. What I am presenting to you is my knowledge, what I know about the plant, what I've directly firsthand learned from other people. Often you will find people that are much more knowledgeable in plants than myself. However, they don't have the personal knowledge. So what I am putting forth to you are plants that I eat on a regular basis, that I've staked my life, my family's life on that. Because, like we all know, all plants are edible one time. It takes a lot to learn about edible plants. I started learning when I was a little kid, and I think because of that, it changed how I looked at plants. I was taught, I guess children are taught differently than adults, but I was taught that you had to earn that knowledge. So I was taught that really to understand a plant, you need to follow it for a year before you even knew what the plant was, because it's different in the spring than it is in the summer, the fall, or the winter. So truly to know the plant, you need to know it in all its forms. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Some of it can be deadly. So I'm also going to ask you to take what I'm teaching you with a grain of salt, because what you think I may be telling you might not be what I'm actually telling you. So think of this today as infotainment, information and entertainment at the same time. I hope to do a little bit of both while we're out today. I'm doing kind of 3 series on edible plants. This first one is a backyard weeds walk. And in the description it said a short walk, because often we have people that are differently abled. So this is the short hike. We're not going very far. We're going to be here in the backyard, picnic gardens, and we'll walk across the parking lot to the other picnic gardens. My hopes for this walk was to teach people what they already had in their backyard, so you can appreciate the plants that are there. I'm this big plant guy, you know, I'm a community herbalist and know about plants for medicine and for food. I've lived off of edible plants in the wild for weeks at a time. People kind of expect this high level of plant knowledge at me when they go to my backyard and they see it's all weeds. That is my prized possessions. So to me, there is no such thing as a weed. Often, some of the weeds that I'm teaching you about, people have spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars trying to eradicate them from their lawn, and it be wonderful tasting green that you can eat. That's healthier for you than lettuce. Remember what I'm teaching about are plants, vegetables. I did a plant walk one time, and we were eating this gorgeous daylily flowers, and it was just melting in your mouth. And somebody said to me, "Yuck, it tastes like lettuce." And I said, "Sorry, I can't make lettuce taste like steak. There's nothing I can do about that." All right. However, the nutrition value of wild plants is through the roof compared to domesticated plants. Think about the difference between a weed and a garden vegetable. The garden vegetable, you water, you give it fertilizer, you weed around it, you make sure it's in the right spot for sun, and then it may or may not live. A weed, you can sometimes even spray it with spray. You can try to pull it out. You can never water it, and it grow great. In fact, one of the things that I used to do is do these classes in farms, because they would love us. And like somebody already mentioned my ploy, we'd be picking the weeds out of the farm. Now, we don't necessarily want you to do this, picking weeds here at Bok Tower Gardens. Although I was having a conversation yesterday with the director of horticulture, and he wasn't too happy that I was pointing out all their mistakes. So this place actively hunts weeds. You know, they have a team of horticulturalists that pull, spray, shovel, try to destroy weeds in every single way. So if there's any place not to do an edible weed walk, it is here at Bok Tower Gardens. But I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to show you just how amazing Mother Nature is. So everybody come follow me. Okay. Everybody has one in my hand out, correct? Okay. What I did here, I was kind of paranoid they would mow before today. And there was a tall plant that would be unrecognizable once it was mowed. So I begged horticulture if I could just stake off a 2 foot by 2 foot spot and you mow around it. And I was given permission. However, in studying, I was looking at the one plant and studying it. We could do, a master's thesis on this 2 by 2 foot plot. There are more plants and species and microorganisms that we can study an entire lifetime. That is how amazing Mother Nature is. When you look at the weeds in a different way, you will see that every place around you is food and medicine. That changes your whole outlook on the world. No matter how hard we're trying to extinguish this, there's still food and medicine in this 2 by 2 plot of land that is routinely mowed, routinely probably fertilized and sprayed, but nature prevails. Imagine if we didn't pull these weeds out right now. So I'm going to start with the first one and why I protected this 2 by 2 spot, because there's not too many around the gardens. If you will look at Florida Bettany. Florida Bettany. All right. That's this one right here. Now, I'm sure if you garden, you know this plant. You don't know the aerial parts. You know everything that's below ground because you've probably pulled it out of the ground and thinking you pulled up a giant grub. Anybody done that before? Okay.
Is this the same thing?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So this is Florida Bettany, also called rattlesnake weed. So that tuber that's underground looks like a rattlesnake tail, or it looks like a giant grub. Sometimes they get really big. They can stay in the same stand. They're kind of a communal plant. They'll go from one and make suckers all over, so they usually grow in chunks. These are probably all related somehow or another by roots.
Can you pass that around?
Sure, I sure can. Yep. So the tubers you can eat raw or cooked. Now is the worst time to try to dig it up. I dug up a few to see if I can show it as an example, and they're tiny because they're using the energy right now to grow. So they're putting all their energy above ground during the hot. So it's kind of a tropical plant because it wants to grow the most during the hot. So that's why there's not much below ground right now. So this would be the kind of plant to harvest in the spring, right before it gets hot. Now, cool thing about it, it is in the mint family. Mint family is a giant family of plants. You know, there's different families of plant. The mint family is in, this Florida Bettany is in the mint family of plants. Generally very safe. One of the ways that you can tell it is in the mint family, well, two of the ways, it has a square stem, opposite leaves, and alternate leaves. So the leaves go this way and that way. Most of them are aromatic, meaning they smell really good. I used to grow, so very few of them have a tuber. Very few of them. There is a rare plant that just recently got imported from West Africa called the African potato mint, and it looks very similar to that. I'm not sure if they're related, they just look very similar. So I have a friend that grows the African potato mint. So that's the Florida Bettany. Any questions about the Florida Bettany? All right.
You have to wait till it gets those nodules like on it.
Yeah, that's the tuber is what's the edible part. So right now it's sending all of its growth up above ground. So it's not like a potato where they're storing all summer long, storing down in order to survive the winter. It's opposite. They're sending all their growth right now above ground to grow while it's hot. So it's a tropical way of... Yes.
So you don't eat the leaves?
I would probably not eat the leaf. However, like I said, it is mint, so it's probably safe. It doesn't smell very aromatic, and that's usually why we eat mint. All right, so that's the first one. So the next obvious one is all over the place.
Yes.
I love the Scott's commercial. I chuckle every time I hear it, and it's always like a down-homey kind of guy. Get rid of Toddlerweed, you know, and they sell this poison that they put on lawns to destroy this wonderful edible plant. It has a carrot-like flavor. It's a little tough. It's a little bit hard to get used to chewing it. Like a lot of edible greens, you mix it. That's the ultimate green salad, is things that you can mix together. So feel free to pick up a Toddlerweed and eat it if you'd like.
What do we get if we clear this whole patch?
Yes. Are you just coming now? Okay, did you register for the class? Okay. Just give me... They're tough year-round. Like a lot of greens, you can say that they would be more edible while it's young, but the Toddlerweed comes up pretty tough. So it's a year-round, just eat it. All of these greens, super high in vitamins.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
What would be a safe amount to eat in a day? I mean, could you eat like a whole cup of them, or is there a limit?
Good question. So, like I said, what makes a really good backyard salad would be a mixture of a lot of different things. Could you probably eat too much of this? I would say probably yeah, because it seems to be really fibery. Humans really aren't designed to break down too much in the way of fiber. We usually pass it through, and that's why it's so good for you. So in this, so we'll go into the next. So Toddlerweed is in a whole class of plants that we call like the Pennywort or Pennywort. So there's another one in there, much smaller. This one is called Ponyfoot because it looks like the footprint of a horse. So where Toddlerweed is a whole dollar, this is Pennywort. This is Pennywort, or Ponyfoot, but Pennywort is another name for pony.
Pennywort's toxic. It sounds like a violet.
No, not that I know of. No. Not pennyroyal.
Oh, okay.
Ponyfoot. Nope, that's something else. We will get to that. It's a real little one. Ponyfoot or Pennywort. Wort is just the German word for plant. So, Pennywort or Ponyfoot or Pennywort.
It tastes like a kid.
Yes. Yep. Now there's a one that has spiky ends to it that looks just like that, more of in wetland areas. That is called Go-To Cola, and it is very expensive in the medicine store. You'll see it in like places where they sell herbs. But this is Ponyfoot. Nope. No. That is a different one that we'll talk about. Nope, that's Toddlerweed.
Okay.
Right here. And oh, here's a great one.
Oh, okay.
Looks almost like the Toddlerweed, doesn't it?
It does, but you see two of the differences. Where does the stem attach to the leaf?
Almost in there.
In the middle, underneath. Where does the stem attach to the leaf? On the side. See, this is underneath. This is on the side. This is cloven. This is just round.
Okay.
Yep. Ponyfoot, Toddlerweed. You guys ready for another one?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a kid's favorite. My children maintain patches of this in our backyard. This is wood sorrel. Another name for it is oxalis. And it's listed either, probably as oxalis on my list. Wood sorrel. Okay. In oxalis. Yep. So when I put oxalis and SPP, what that means is there's a lot of different species of oxalis. SPP means species. So this is the native wood sorrel. Sometimes, and this is really cool, it's also called fairy okra because it has little, this one doesn't have it, but it has little fruit that look like tiny, tiny okra. So they call it fairy okra. So the reason why kids love this one is because it has oxalic acid, which is a lemony taste to it. So kids love to chew on it because it's lemony. Now, this is an introduced species of oxalis. This we just found over there before. Now, my kids really love this one because the stem is super lemony. That's where it's at, is the stem.
Now that one, the larger one, does that have a lavender flower? Or
So,
is it still
because it
yellow?
is commonly domesticated, it can have anything. There's a lot of different color flowers. There's a lot of different colors. Yeah. So the native one has a yellow flower, but I've seen like everything in the domesticated one.
Do you eat both of them?
Yeah, they both equally are good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what they would call a shamrock, but when I think of a shamrock, I think of a clover, and a clover is attached, and these are 3 different leaves. See the difference? A clover would be one piece together, but they're different leaves. All right.
So can you eat the leaves as well as the stem on that?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
my kids love this stem. Yep. So now there is some research that this is poisonous and it's going to kill you if you eat a whole swimming pool of it. So don't eat a whole swimming pool of it. I don't know why anybody would. But just know my kids have patches like this at home and they're still alive. And I've been eating it since I was a little kid too, I should say. All right. So now the next one, which a bunch of you have picked, and one of my faves. Here's a good patch of it right here.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
You know that one?
I don't know what it is, but I don't like
Okay. Oh, don't say you don't like it. Ooh, I'm gonna cry now. This is tropical dry Mary. Why it's called tropical dry Mary? Because we're here in the tropical area, right? And if you've ever seen this plant early in the morning, it has little dewdrops that look like gems. So it looks like the water is just floating above it. That's why it's dry. Now, the other thing about tropical dry Mary, why I really love it, is it dries you up. So if you have that runny, sneezy nose, make a cup full of tea of this, and it dries you right up. So the name kind of tells you a lot about tropical dry Mary.
I get the show.
Yeah, you can have that one. Yeah, I kind of wrote all this stuff, so if it sounds weird, just ask me. I don't know. I try to make it like not crazy. Just a little bit of my brain putting out on paper. Earthy.
Can you eat the flower?
So I use what they call aerial parts. Everything above ground is okay. Everything above ground. All right, so we got tropical dry Mary, wood sorrel. We got Florida Bettany, ponyfoot, and Toddlerweed. Any questions about those? Isn't it amazing what we can learn? And there's like probably 20 other species in here. That's the tropical dry Mary, yes. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff we can keep digging and digging in here a whole lifetime just in this one spot. That's how amazing nature is. Knowledge that was passed down from generations. More importantly than the species that are here itself is the knowledge about how to learn about it. I started my first career in the New York State Park Service, and I did plant walks like this and kind of got a little fame up there. And their idea of a promotion was to send me to the beach, to a brand new habitat that I knew nothing about. And I kind of pined my first day at work. I'm like, why would they send an edible plant guy to the beach? And I'm glad that they did, because there were more edible and medicinal plants at the beach than I ever dreamed possible. And what I realized at that point is it wasn't necessarily about the knowledge that I had about the plants. It was the knowledge that I learned of how to study the plants. So I'd mentioned a couple of things just casually. Plant families. Learn the families of plants. That's a good way to start. Like, a mint is a mint. You're good. Peas, although there are some that are edible, many of them will kill you. Wild peas. So that's a good way to start. One of the things that I use as a rule of thumb is that most plants that are edible will not taste bad. Now, bad is relevant, but if it tastes like it's poison, believe the plant. That's the problem with mushroom hunting, is that there can be the most sweetest, aromatic, beautiful mushroom, and it just tastes wonderful, and it'd be downright deadly. And that's the danger, especially with kids. Yeah, exactly. So my suggestion is you really don't know a plant until you have learned it for a year, seen it in all the different seasons, because it might change. Because there might be times, like one of my favorite edibles is pokeweed, P-O-K-E, pokeweed. However, it is deadly poisonous if it's more than that tall. So it was used as a purifying green. You've gone through the whole winter, you finally need some greens to eat, and it was a wonderful blood purifier that people would eat right after a long winter. And only would eat after a long winter. So different times of the year, plants are different ability to be eaten, and also different preparations. There are also tons of lookalikes. And what I am also guilty of, even after a lifetime of doing this, is you wish a plant is something. Like, I want it to be this so bad, your brain believes it. That's why it's always good to have more than one person. One of the coolest things that ever happened in my life was I was walking with my son, and we stopped, and he picked a plant. And he turned to me, and he crushed it, and he said, "Here, smell it." I have taught my children since they were little to smell a plant. Because your smell is the strongest sense directly tied to your memory. Think about, what grandma's cookies smell like, no matter how long ago that was. So smell can take you back with memories. So in learning plants, learn by smelling it. And then learn by tasting it. But your nose is the best thing. So I was so proud, my little 2-year-old, crushing up that plant and handing it to me to smell. Because I guess I did that to him like a bazillion times. He was probably done at the time. So let's walk this way. We're going to walk across the